Hello. Welcome back. My name is Megan, an intuitive coach, channel, and guide. And I was absolutely urged to come on here and share a message with you guys. My intention was not to be on YouTube. I think I say this so many times in the beginning of my readings, but I think the reason I'm guided to say it is just share with you how crucial it is to be living in a flow state, in a state of allowing life, the guides, your intuition, your body, everything to be moment by moment and to kind of inform what's next for you. And when we resist that, when we fight that, we cause a lot more chaos than we think we are, and we make things a lot harder than they need to be. It's so funny that this is kind of what's coming up. So I'm deep in this course, channeling this course for you guys, or for whoever wants to join me. And it's been such a labor of love is what I'm hearing, which is interesting, not something I would normally say, because it's this blend of being completely mystical, allowing it to flow through me, channeling, allowing the transmissions to come. And then it's also this very masculine, like, nitty gritty sort of battling kind of the perfectionism and the inner critic stuff. But also, there's a lot that needs to get done. There's a lot of tasks. There's a lot of, there's a big to-do list. And, you want to make it look good. You want it to live on. You want it to, stand the test of time to your legacy, which is all the masculine, like legacy. And finding a middle ground and merging those and finding a happy medium even between working so much because the downloads just won't stop and there's so much inspiration and it's go, go, go. And then the blend of resting, stillness, play, joy, just laughing, right? Having fun and allowing them to all kind of merge. And that's really this new timeline. That's this new earth. That's what we're creating. We're trying to move into this place. And so we may feel like novices at it right now. We may not feel like experts. We may not feel like it's supernatural quite yet, especially when we're taking on bigger projects, bigger things, whatever we're being guided to do. I'm using my life as an example, but you could be going through something completely different that has nothing to do with career or work. But it's expansion nonetheless. That's where we are. We're in this phase of expansion, a change in the wind. And it's like, okay, so this is a zebra. Zebras are a very unusual animal. They're a part of this family. They look like they could be a cousin of a horse, right? They look super similar. They're connected to all those kind of land mammals in that way. But then their stripes and their uniqueness and just everything about them is so different. It's like their unique song, their soul song, their gift is so special. And it's so different from what others can bring and what others can offer. And that has previously been very soul crushing to the soul song. That has previously been very challenging and hard. I'm feeling like this zebra is kind of like wanting to be able to run and gallop and move quickly and fast. But there's this pressure, there's this weight, the weight of the world that's kind of crashing in on this zebra. And it's because you were never made to fit in. You were never made to go with the status quo or the mold. You were always made to fly. You were always made to stand out. You were always made to be different. That was your soul song. That was the Godhead moving through you. That was you being an expression of the divine. And we're in this place of facing the fear. We're facing the fear. Kali Ma, she's very present right now in the particular phase of the course that I'm working on. And I don't know if I said this, but I was trying to work on the course. I was trying to work on that. And they were like, nope, everything that you're channeling right now actually is for a message on YouTube. So that's why I'm here. But Kali's very present. And this is the dark mother, right? This is the she's like, there's no way to avoid or to skirt or to hide in the shadows or to not face yourself. It's like, no, you're going forward. You're facing yourself. You are, the only way out is through. You are going through the darkness. That's what this zebra is being asked to do, is to allow the tower of all this weight, everything that it's been holding on its back, that's been keeping it stuck, that's been keeping it from glowing, from standing in the shadows, from being unique, from being different. It's this very powerful opportunity that the zebra has. There's a lot of change. There's a lot of change unfolding. And maybe that's why that message came through, of allowing the change, allow it to flow through you, allow it to be a part of the process right now. And I feel like some of you might actually be asking, why me? Why did I have, like, you go back and forth, you juggle between this is a curse and this is a gift. Like, oh, I love that I'm a zebra and I have these unique stripes, and you find the joy in that. And then you flip back between, but it's so hard to blend in wherever I'm at in my life. And the weight and the pressure of being incredible, the weight of being amazing is so heavy. I don't know if I want to carry that. I don't feel like I got to decide that. And I'm asking why, like, why me? Why this? Why do I deserve to be happy? Why do I deserve to have this enjoyment? And I have to tell you too, I'm in a new setup because, like I said, I was in the coursework, and so I just grabbed some decks, and I don't have my desk, and I just grabbed some decks, and I just have some decks here, and I just flopped them on this little end table I have. And these are the cards that were just staring at me, that wanted to come through. I've done nothing, but it's exactly kind of what I was being guided to share and talk to you guys a little bit about. It's a shadow integration, right? Because I feel like for many of us, we've actually just come out of this really dark night of the soul, like very heavy, tense energy. The reckoning is actually what I'm hearing. And yeah, that's how it felt, right? And it was just like intense, being forced to look at everything that maybe you'd been trying to ignore, and that you were telling yourself you weren't ready to face, but you just had to, and it just had to come through, and it had to be seen. And now, so the shadow was faced, and now we're in this integration period, which is this in between worlds, this change, but being afraid to let go of the status quo, but also miserable in the status quo, like can't even begin to sit there for one more second, whatever the status quo is for you. That's just what was channeled as the word they gave me. Comfort, right? It's almost like it connects to what I channeled for, I think it was the last reading I posted on here about the fear of success energy. So it's like this fear of failure is kind of the lower vibration. It's like the lower expression. Fear of success is the higher vibration, right? They're similar. It's almost like anytime we grow or we evolve, we take like 5 steps forward, 3 steps back, because we get a little scared. We get a little like, oh shit, like I just expanded, I just grew. I don't even recognize myself. I'm so much stronger than I was before. And then you're like, whoa, there's a lot more responsibility on this side of the tracks. There's a lot more at stake here. There's a lot more to lose here. I don't know if I like this. Let me go back over there. And you try, but it feels so miserable and so uncomfortable when you go back over there. Like it doesn't feel good. So it's kind of Spirit's clever sort of trick where you always have free will choice, but you can't go back. You can't unknow what you now know. So now that you've seen clearly, you've had this dark night of the soul energy, facing the shadow. It almost gets more miserable to stay in the old now that you have the new information than it is to go out into the unknown, right? The fear is kind of I was going to say the guide. And yes, you can work with fear as a guide, but more the fear is going to be there regardless of which way you go. And it's not that you're ever going to get rid of the fear. It's that you're going to take action despite the fear. wholeness comes from integrating all parts of yourself. And so many of us, because of the religious indoctrination, which even if you did not grow up in a religious household, you still grew up on earth. And this hierarchical, this idea of a God outside of you, this like powerful kind of masculine energy that's going to punish you or reward you, is a very hierarchical, dualistic, narrow view. And it doesn't even begin to encapsulate the wholeness of the human soul and the wholeness of our divinity. It's so narrow, right? And it's also something that was kind of coming from a very lower consciousness. And as we ascend, our consciousness expands. So we're able to see things bigger. However, we start to realize, if we're doing our spiritual work, that there's some things we have on autopilot that are from those older versions of self, those older consciousness. Perhaps they're ancestral, right? Perhaps they're just societal, and they're kind of running underground of our system. I wish I knew more about technology and computers, because I bet you I could make some really fire analogies for you guys, because that's kind of how it feels like when it comes to, it's like your system needs an upgrade. You need to download the new software because the old software is what's running. And the old software has this hierarchical sort of, I'm going to be punished. I'm, the devil on the shoulder and the angel on the shoulder. And, this whole idea of like right and wrong, good and bad. And, you're going to be, there's always somebody watching you. And the thing is like, when you're working a spiritual path, you recognize that what's good and what's right and what's true is not what everyone else says is what's good and right and true. That is the indoctrination. That is the very limited perspective from which that the collective had previously bought into and was consciously manifesting. It's why war exists, right? It's a reflection of us, and it's a reflection of the collective consciousness, but it's also an old program from where we're all sitting now. This is getting a bit heady, I know. But I hope that's making sense, because once we can become fully integrated, it really does mean that we're in this whole, we're sitting there from a whole perspective, right? Where there isn't dark, hidden, uncovered pieces within our psyche that are secretly kind of running the show or creating thought forms, giving us thought forms, Also, when you have really unclaimed shadow, I'm being really guided to say this. So you haven't looked at your shadow, you've been afraid of your shadow, you're more susceptible to the collective thought forms, right? So like thought forms, depending on where you live in the world, there may be a collective consciousness. No, there is a collective consciousness of that. It's like if people can say like, this city has this vibe, it feels this way. People are like this here, so you might move to New York City, and prior to moving to New York City, maybe you weren't much of a workaholic. Maybe you always got 8 hours of sleep, whatever. But that city is so active and so like vibrating at this, like the frequency of New York City is like work, 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 go, 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 sleep when you're dead. That's like, that's an energy, right? So then those collective thought forms start to come into you, but you may not even know, if you're not conscious, you're not awake, you're not doing the spiritual work, and you do have all this shadow within you, you won't even know that that's what's running you. You'll think it's your idea. It's the same thing when it comes to relationships, or, we have these thought forms that pop in that we think it's ours, but actually you're just tapping into the collective that says, oh, it's not safe to date somebody that's hotter than me because they'll cheat on me. So I have to date below me. I don't know why that just got channeled, but honestly, swear to God, that's like a collective thought form that people have. And that's part of that like low hanging fruit idea. That's part of that consciousness of, fear of success, fear of failure. So I'll just take the easy comfort path. That's probably why that came through. And that may resonate for some. So that's a little bit of what it feels like the collective is going through. The star seeds, twin flames for sure, but that we're kind of in this testing ground of integrating and coming back to wholeness. The more that we're willing to look at those icky places within us that we're not proud of, the things that we don't like, and we reclaim them and we bring them back into us as, yes, I am selfish. I have been selfish, but you know what? I'm now a child of the divine, and I'm now in service to humanity. I don't know. literally, whatever it is, whatever you've had shame about. And you also can really tell when you have shame about something and you're not fully integrated within yourself. If it would be like somebody who is super skinny and like really sensitive to being skinny. If somebody's like, oh, you're so skinny, that person is going to take that as like, what a mean thing to say. Like, that was so cruel. But if you said that to the average person in the collective, you're so skinny, they'd be like, oh my God, thank you. Right. Because we're so indoctrinated into, that's a whole nother topic, but right. We're so indoctrinated into how we should all look and what the collective look is. But if it's something that's really sensitive to you, if it's something that hurts you, like if you've been told all your life that you're selfish and you haven't integrated that aspect of you, whatever that is that's reflecting that people are seeing, and you haven't reclaimed it and said, yes, I'm fucking selfish. You're damn right I'm selfish, right? And found a way to really find the divinity behind it, then it's always going to be, it's like an open wound. It's like you're walking around with an open wound. And when we're in intimate relationships of any kind, people start to learn what that person's open wound is. And when you're with a narcissist, someone who's manipulative, someone that's really in their shadow and unhealed and not working a spiritual path and really hurt people, right? That's what's coming to mind. So when you're in a relationship with someone like that, they're going to find all those little wounds on you and they're going to just keep poking them, and they're going to just keep poking them and poking them. And you have a couple options. You can look at that as like, how dare you? You're an asshole. Like, get away from me. And of course, if there's abuse going on and there's other dark energy going on, yeah, you probably should get away from them. But there's always a divine purpose. Why would spirit have aligned you to this person in the first place? Because there's some work that needs to be done. They are a mirror. That's why karmic relationships happen. That's why they're necessary. That's why your soul agrees to them in a contract, is because this person comes along and shows you what work you need to do. And the twin flame, the higher expression of that, does the same thing, but they're always doing it through love, right? It's a little bit different, because the twin flame is never like, oh, okay, I see where you're flawed and where you're wrong. Okay, let me just throw that in your face every 2 seconds. It's never that. The twin flame literally doesn't even have to do anything. Literally just, hey, how's it going? Oh my God, I can't believe she said that to me. Oh my God, that was so rude. Right? That's the twin flame dynamic. It's just the presence of who you are that can be triggering in a twin flame. It's never that intentional. Although, and I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, although something that I experienced a lot in my twin flame connection was, it's almost like my masculine would be channeled to say something, and he wouldn't even understand why. Like he wasn't connected in that way where he was like, I'm channeling this, he was super intuitive, but just not claiming that quite at that point. And yeah, so he would just say these things to me, and I would be like, what did you just say? Like, where did that come from? Or like do these things. And it just felt super like, his higher self was driving the car, is essentially what I'm trying to say. His higher self knew exactly what I needed to hear and what needed to be said in those moments so that I could go do some shadow work. And I think we do that for each other in the twin flame dynamic. Okay, cool. So shadow, we're integrating shadow. What else did I want to share with you guys? Okay. There's this idea that the more whole you become and the more integrated you become, the more sovereign you become, the more unfuckwithable you are. Like nobody can get you off course. There's so much out in society, technology, black magic, spiritual warfare, food, chemtrails. I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the things. Like, basically what I'm trying to say is every single avenue, every single potential weapon to the human is being used, right? So like imagery, trance, like the frequencies that they make music at just puts you into like a hypnotic state now, so that you're just being indoctrinated, you're just being programmed. That's a really interesting rabbit hole to dig into, is the whole music industry, and like the music and literally the frequency that they're now making music at is so different than what it used to be. And it literally just puts you in a trance state, and then they can program your mind that way. tangent. But anyways, every single thing, like every avenue to get to break the human spirit is being infiltrated. So the stronger that you become, the more whole you become in your sovereignty, the more those thought forms that aren't yours won't find you. Or when they do, you know immediately that's not mine. And honestly, the more of the spiritual work and the ascension that you do, the more you can't even be touched by things like the chemtrails or what's in the food or 5G or whatever the fear is that people have, because there is a lot of that out there. Like, I'm not saying it's not, but you almost transcend it. You almost transcend past all of those attacks on human sovereignty, because you get to a place of just complete, well, it's like you transcend the frequency where you're susceptible. But there's a period where you haven't transcended it yet, right? Part of the ascension path where you've had the dark night of the soul, you've faced your shadow, you're facing your shadow, but you're kind of having to work through all of that. So it can feel actually like you're being attacked from all angles during those periods of the journey. But I promise you, if you feel like you're there is a next place that you will get to. And I always go like this, and I've talked about that with Laura before, where we're like, it's not higher or lower, it's just different. Like, I forget the way that she described it, but because we really want to get rid of the hierarchical, it's almost like this frequency and this feeling is over here, and this one's over here, and this one's going to feel better. You want to get over here if you can. So it's kind of like just you can get to a point where psychic attacks can't even find you anymore, because you've integrated. The reason is not because you're this like you're this better person, all right? It's not even like that. It's that you've integrated the shadow, the darker parts of yourself, so there's no open wounds on you that somebody is attracted to come in and take advantage of. I hope that makes sense. And if I wanted to simplify it into like very basic human terms, we can think of the empath and the narcissist. The empath has a lot to learn from the narcissist. And until the empath releases codependency and moves into their own personal freedom and sovereignty, they will keep attracting people like that only want to take advantage of them, because they can almost sense, I was going to say smell, they can sense that energy that they're like, oh, this is something I can leech off of. This is something I can take life force from. It's really that simple. But they're both a gift in a way. And I feel like if you are an empath, it's almost like a lesson that you're undoubtedly going to come across on the journey. That might give a more human, real world, practical kind of example of the frequencies, the energies that I am transmitting here. Back to the hypnotic state, because I did get into so back to the hypnotic state. Our world is very much encouraging this like glazed over, glassy eyed, like, I mean, TV, you watch TV for 2 seconds, you are in a trance. You are. Music, trance. Even going into like the grocery store. And this is all things that are under the guise of like marketing, right? Like, advertising, and how some stores, they'll have them be cold, or they do certain things. But these are all like things where they've studied the human brain, they've studied the human psyche, they know how to get in, they know where those wounds are in the human collective, the human family, they know exactly how to get in. So guess what? You have to get really strong so that they can't. That's how you take your power back. That's how you become the co-creator of your life. So a big thing that I feel has been coming through really strong from the guides is those that know how to hypnotize themselves to put yourself in a trance cannot be hypnotized by someone else. You cannot be put in a trance by someone else. And that is so powerful. Like, I really started to understand that, because I didn't quite understand it at first. And I really started to understand that. And I was like, that's exactly what meditation can do, the spiritual journey can do. When your mind gets so strong and you learn about things like manifestation, in a sense, that's hypnotizing yourself. That's putting yourself in a type of trance, because a thought form could come in and could take you over, and you could be like, I'm broke, I'm poor, like I'm just like my parents, like, I'm going to be homeless. I don't know, whatever thought forms come in that are definitely present in the collective, because we all have, we all have ancestors that have experienced some form of poverty, some form of a famine, some form of something, no matter who we come from. We all have it. And so it's in there, it's in the collective, and it can come in. And if you are trained in how to hypnotize your own brain, you can go, oh, nope, I don't like that. That doesn't feel good. Not for me. I am abundant. I am powerful. I am a co-creator. God always provides. I always have enough. And it can be so simple in that moment. Because I personally, the sensitive as I am, I actually experience the moment I walk into a room, like a setting of people, I'll hear all the thought forms. I'll see all the thought forms. Like they're coming in. And if it doesn't feel good, I'm like, I got to get out of here. But I also just start reminding myself, nope, that's not mine. That's not mine. That's not mine. So sometimes you really have to do it in real time. It has to be that simple. Even just going into the grocery store, you can also experience really positive thought forms. So if you walk into a room and you really feel good and the vibes feel great and you like sort of the things that are coming in, you can be like, oh, I'm going to adopt that. I'm going to take that on for myself. Like if you're spending time around people that, giving the poverty example, if you're spending time around people that are very abundant in a very, not in a fake way, not in a false way. Like I got lots of money, look at my nice car, but they're like not a whole human. But people that are like abundant in the way of like, of course I'll give to you. Like how much money can I give to you? I always have enough. I'm totally good. Like it's not about what's in their bank account. It's about how they exist and move in the world. Those type of abundant people, you can really feed off of their energy. You can really be like, oh, I like that. I'm going to take that on. And those of us that are, initiated into teaching, into guiding, that's what we're doing. It honestly doesn't matter what I say to you. It's the frequencies that I'm holding. It's the codes that I have within my body that I'm transmitting onto you to help you choose stronger thought forms, more empowering thought forms. And that's why tuning into lots of different teachers, right? And I like that thought form. I like what they're giving. That feels good. I liked this thought form. I liked the energetic frequency of this person for a while, but I actually don't like it anymore. And instead of getting in my head about that or forcing myself to finish it out, I'm just going to be like, you know what? I think our contract has ended. It's time to part. I'm going to go on to somebody else. I'm going to find someone that's better for me. That's happened to me so many times on my journey where I was really inspired by someone in whatever capacity, working with someone, learning from somebody. And then all of a sudden it's like, I could just feel like, it didn't feel good anymore. And you have to be attuned to those subtleties. You really have to be attuned to those in your body. But I was just like, it doesn't feel good anymore. And I could have gotten in my head and I could have like stalled all the energy and the momentum and the flow and just been like, wait, let me think about this. What should I do? Oh no. And just like hung out in that space for a while. But luckily, my spiritual practice has taught me I got to trust that and I got to let go and I got to move on. When you do, you can stand on another side of that energy and you're able to see, yeah, it's because they actually had some things going on within them, some codes, some frequencies that were no longer good for me, no longer aligned for me. And I needed to let go and I needed to move on. And when I let go, I made room for this new thing that's exactly where I'm at right now, perfectly aligned for me. That's how beautiful it works. But we have to be really comfortable with being in the flow and seamlessly letting things in and letting things go. That's not to say that you can sit back and passively let things happen to you. I'm really being strongly urged to say here. And I'm going to wrap this up soon because I know this is going way longer than I intended. But it's a real big theme right now in the collective. I can feel it. It's not to say that you can sit back and just passively be like, let life come to me. Like, if it's meant for me, it's going to fall in my lap. No, that's somebody that's in distorted masculine. That's somebody that's in a hierarchical way. That's very dogmatic, hierarchical, control freak type of energy. And forgive me, like I don't mean to be insulting anybody because I myself have been in that. But it's actually what's underneath that is a lack. It's lack mentality, worthiness, a fear of being good enough, fear of success, fear of failure. Once again, it's all those things rolled into one. And it's like, because if I have to put myself out there and be vulnerable and go for that thing, well, what if it doesn't happen? Like, how stupid am I going to look? How dumb am I going to look? I mean, I'm sure twin flames on this journey, the divine feminines, have experienced that so much, right? Putting your faith in what spirit is showing you about this masculine, putting your faith in this journey, putting your faith in the future that you see. And if you did share it with anyone in your life, you know, if you ever talk to friends or family about it and they're just like, oh, really? I actually think that person's just an asshole. And I think that you're crazy, right? Feminines just have to be like, I guess I'll look like an asshole then. That's fine. I got to put my pride and my ego aside and just trust and go with what spirit shows me and just keep going and keep going. You know, I love that's something that really comes at us a lot. And it's something that we all have to learn. And what a beautiful way to learn it. And for some of us, you know, we learn it through our jobs and work and karmic partners and money and abundance and all this stuff. But it's a lesson that we have to learn, is like putting our ego aside, getting the download of what we want and going after it and trusting it, right? Just trusting, just surrendering and taking that next guided action. That's really important in manifestation. You can't just be like, this is what I want. Okay, bring it to me. Let's go. Let's go. No, you have to actually like take a step to go do it. Okay, let's leave you with one card. Leave you with one card. I actually thought I was gonna like do a traditional reading, but no. Yeah, the star. Okay, that's beautiful. We have the star. That's exactly this energy. It is a healing and integrating, of freeing yourself from everything that was not aligned with you. And what comes before the star is the tower. So this is exactly what I was picking up on in the collective. Is it's like we just had the tower, that dark night of the soul, the facing the shadow, and now we're in this like healing, integrating it. On the bottom of the deck here is this nine of pentacles. So there's a lot of themes here of independence, sovereignty, abundance, strength, power, taking your power back, being a co-creator, knowing that you don't need to control, to force, to cling. It all happens very naturally, organically, when you trust, when you allow it to be easy, when you don't resist, when you get out of your own way. Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much. If you made it this far, thank you. Please like this video. That definitely helps it circulate on YouTube. If you comment, I love to hear what comes up for you. That also helps support my channel. And I'll be back whenever I'm guided to. I'm sending you guys so much love and strength, and have a beautiful day.